first place.
Down here in the bottom right, in the yellow, he's up 1 game. 1 more to go to Code S. He is.
GSL Green Wings Avenge.
Looking pretty calm now.
Gotta keep his wits about him here. And up to the top left in the blue. Down a game in the series.
CJ&2's Sora.
Avenge, more so the player when we first saw him. Looked a bit stressed, was taking big deep breaths before his games against Sleep, but then again we saw Sora, and he's not really a guy to look too nervous, more so like angry or frustrated, especially when he loses.
Yeah. Well, gates have been placed. I'm feeling like actually this could be a very different game, you know. I feel like this could be the game where both players just kind of take maybe, you know, just an aggressive scout with a Mothership core, drop a Nexus, go into Robo. You know, I don't think necessarily either of these players have to go down the Twilight Council path. Because in PvP, it seems like in the current meta, just chances are one of them will. That's kind of how it's always been since Heart of the Swarm was released.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of discussion about nerfing Protoss recently. Balance test map, you know, the Time Warp nerf would actually change this matchup quite significantly. It would make it so there's a lot more micro opportunity when you've been Time Warped. And, you know, I was talking to David Kim, and I know a lot of people have been discussing this, but the idea of nerfing the duration of the Nexus cannon is something that people would feel would destroy this matchup with how it works now, also with the map sizes and whatnot. But I think, well, I think it's something that still could be discussed.
Yeah, there's always testing to be involved as well. It's always like on paper, you know, technically, would this work, would it not? Still got to test it first and see exactly how it would play out.
And right now, I have a sentry being queued up here actually really early for Sora, so rush that out, get some good scouting, get some safety, and actually the same build for Avenge. This is kind of what I was feeling like we were going to see, just very calm, safe, cautious builds out of these two. Might even see like a crazy 1-gate expand. We've seen players pull that off in Heart of the Storm, especially if you can identify that your opponent's doing something similar. Like as soon as you get in the base and you see a sentry, you're like, okay, your tech is delayed and you're probably going to expand.
Yeah. Just getting a full scout of the whole base. Maybe wanted to see some pylons just to make sure.
So, not an expand, at least not yet here for Sora. But the Twilight Council is hidden. It'll be obviously a little bit delayed with that sentry in the Mothership core coming out. And look at this, Stargate.
Another Stargate here for Avenge. Sending out the Mothership core to scout, of course, you know, possible proxy locations over here just to be safe. Doesn't want to be caught out on anything.
Yeah, I feel like if you're going to proxy a Stargate on this map, that on this particular case, that's the place to do it because the one on the left side just feels like a little bit too obvious. When you're going to scout, there's just too much chance of being seen. If you proxy on the right side, if the Mothership scouts it, then at least he has to go so far out of his way that he's like spending a lot of time. Probe's another story, but there's a probe hiding for Sora as well. Going to go pop and take that watchtower. Might end up making a forward pylon for the blink that's coming out here. And Avenge has that Oracle coming out. Like we discussed earlier in the previous Protoss vs. Protoss, you know, an Oracle can actually do wonders for you against Blink Stalkers because it could buy you so much time. And it can outright win you the game if you have a few force fields to buy time at home while you have Oracles killing your opponent's probes.
Yeah. So this hallucination is going to come in here and should be denied, actually. No, it does get a good look at that, actually. And the real Oracle pops out here, but that's going to be scouted. So he should have a good idea that this is coming out here, but of course, like you did mention, is going to keep him back in his base for a bit.
He even gets a Void Ray here. I really like this, but you know what's really interesting is Sora has his own Stargate. This game is going to get pretty crazy.
These PvPs today, man, just all over the place. All sorts of techs.
So the Void Ray here is designed to defend the Blink Stalker build. If he's able to force it, if he's able to get his way across the map after defending the Oracle, he wants that extra damage output. one Void Ray can kill like 6 Stalkers on its own. With support, that's, I mean, it actually can happen, but not on its own exactly. Ooh!
Oh, and it just barely stays alive. 17 hit points.
But you see, as the Stargate, so now the Phoenix Wars begin. And Blink is late for Avenge, something he may decide to add on here. I think it's pretty likely. The Void Ray is now kind of, this is an extra big beefy unit that's really going on to protect. It's kind of like a hero unit. Can be useful in pushes, can be useful in late game. They both make one Phoenix and stop. This Phoenix is going to kill this Oracle.
There they go into remaking those Phoenixes.
Yeah, perhaps supply block for a moment. One kill on that Oracle. Did not pay off. Void Ray is shown as well. And Robo is almost done at home for Sora.
Yep. So the DT tech, probably not going to do much. Could maybe do some damage if the Observer is out of place or if it's at the enemy base or something like that. Nice micro here. Tries to snipe a sentry. I think he will do it. Yes, he does.
Yeah, but catch here on one of the Stalkers for it. And actually, we'll get the second one as well, especially if you prismatic alignments. That doesn't matter. Yeah, a bit of a micro mistake though, Avenge. I don't know if you guys noticed that back at home, but he accidentally like targeted his own Nexus for a second. That was somewhat problematic, but this probe is dead. Ouch.
DED.
DED indeed.
So +1 coming up here for Sora. I didn't actually catch if Avenge made his own forge.
I don't think so. He's definitely not using it yet.
Yeah, if he would have gotten it, he probably would be using it. And here's the first DT going to come out, but again, the Observer coming out here already for Sora, so as long as it's in position and he identifies that the DT is in his base, should be able to ward it off pretty efficiently.
Yeah, sending it to the wrong position, unfortunately. He can actually snipe some sentries here. He's going to go to the main instead. I didn't think he noticed this. Now he knows. But, you know, only an Observer is not enough, actually. He needs something to pick them up.
There he goes. DT only getting 1 kill, one of those probes.
So 3 Phoenixes to 3. Worker count's relatively even, but a few more kills down going down here. Looks like 4. Oh! A bit too slow on the draw there to get the 5th. This is kind of a funny game. Oh, Avenge is at 47 to 43 probes, a little bit of that harassment damage. Army size comparable here. And a bit of a micro mistake by Avenge is actually going to cost him big here.
Yeah, loses 1 extra Phoenix there. Bit of a mistake again. Maybe a little bit of nerves coming into play here. I mean, he didn't look too nervous, but still, he's 1 game away from Code S. Could definitely be factoring in.
Yeah, some people actually get nervous when they're like in the best place possible, more so when they're than when they're actually like down.
It's like, I'm so close, I just can't mess up here, and then you put so much pressure on yourself and you mess up, and it's like, well.
So this is funny. What happens next, too, is 5 gates for Avenge and charge. With this Phoenix fleet a bit crippled, but still he's got it. Scouts the forge timing, knows exactly when that's going to finish. And I also identifies the 3rd base here. With this many gates and charge, an attack at this base at this timing could actually be quite useful. He just needs to get a forward warping point set up. And he can walk across the map with a massive army, burst down the Nexus with the Zealots, and maybe flee out of there.
Yep, he's got that pylon towards the top of the map. I don't know if you see that up there.
Yeah.
Up on that ridge there. He's got so many gateways, going to go up to 8 total.
And with that pylon, he may even just warp in a ton of Zealots and not even do a frontal assault. Check with his Phoenix to see if the army's out of position. Warp in 8 Zealots, kill the Nexus, and then try to run them away. Look at all these gates going down too. This game is actually crazy. PvPs today have been just abnormal, to say the least. I love it. Trading blow for blow here, back and forth. Army supply massively ahead for Avenge. He's moving right for the Nexus. Not with just a small harassment force, but he's bringing down the hammer.
Ooh, look at that. He saw with the hallucination, actually, that there was a Nexus coming up, but it gets canceled, and he's using all of those extra minerals for a bunch of Zealots and an Archon here. This is a really nice timing coming out of Avenge, and I think it could definitely cancel that 3rd base.
Yeah. And having this Void Ray even in the mix is going to be quite useful as well. Just one of those beefy air units. Harder to be targeted. Just going to take the engagement straight up here. We got quite a few Archons with those DTs as well. Beautiful time warp for Sora, and the gateway wall he sets here makes it hard to use his Zealot advantage efficiently. But if he gets up into the ramp, That's when problems are really going to start.
And he gets up in the ramp, and a nice time warp goes on a lot of that stuff as well. The Void Ray doing a ton of work here. Already getting 3 kills, and it's not going down. And it looks like Avenge is going to take this one.
Definitely looks that way, man. He's just overwhelmed the main base now. And that Void Ray is going to help out so much. The Phoenix is still here as well. And the rest of the Zealots are able to just run through that time warp. Everything is dying here. There's nothing left at home to harass or anything like that. He's warping to the next wave of Zealots. Really good timing here, knowing exactly what he needed to do. A few Archons being warped in here in the last second. Another time warp goes down on those. The Void Ray will fall, but so will everything else, but not for Avenge. That's for Sora.
Sora's got to know that the third base was canceled, and he's got to be kicking himself. He's like, oh man, what did I do wrong? The gates were a bit late. Didn't identify the push early enough.
Yeah, he took the greeter approach. You know, he took the fast third Nexus. And the DTs, you know, that allowed him to make Archons really helped out as well. And this is just him trying to say, you know, I know you're on 2 bases. Maybe I can hold here. Maybe I can recover because I've got 3. But the third base he has is not mining.
Yeah, the main base he has is not mining. The natural he has is not really mining either. Yeah.
Probe's fighting here actually with the Zealots.
Yeah.
GG.
Tries to make a last stand, but Avenge 2-2-0s, and he gets out of the group. He's going to Code S.
Bam. 4-0. Like I said, back from the dead. This guy was gone. He retired. Nobody had heard from him.
It's zombie Avenge now.
You know, when some people, there was an Avenge coming around, like I guess like about 9 months ago or so, playing a lot of online qualifiers. He was teamless, and he just kept showing up, and everyone's like, "Is this the same Avenge?" It was just never clear. But that was Korean name to confirm. He was also really high on the Grandmaster ladder under the idea of Avenge, and you know, rumors were spread, but he is back, and he is the first player from this group and the first player in general to actually be in Code S.
Definitely very surprising. This is an amazing result so far.
I'm happy for it, man. I'm always glad to see old classics do well back in the GSL. Now, Sora is not out yet. He will face the winner of the losers match, which we'll be having after a quick 5-minute